What's up, everyone? So today I'm here just to share a brief video on just answering the simple question: how do I know I'm going to heaven? So I have a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues, a lot of acquaintances, a lot of followers, all of these types of things people who ask me this question, or who ask in general this question. And I think that I just want to put the disclaimer that, of course, I'm speaking from a biblical perspective. So I'm speaking from the Christian worldview and the Christian's beliefs, and not necessarily from any other type of point of view or perspective. So this is the perspective that I'm presenting as a Christian. And I also want to put the disclaimer that I'm not here to debate theology, and I'm not here to debate the reality of God and apologetics, and all of these other types of things that skeptics might bring up. That there's other videos for that, so like you guys can check out my misconceptions on Christianity series. I have 2 videos on there so far, and I'm planning to add more to that whenever I get more time throughout this year and everything. But I also have like a playlist called for my Christian subscribers, where I have every single video of me addressing Christian things, giving like evidence and reasoning for why I believe what I believe. All of that can be found in those videos, and you can check out my blog site, DEEZY2bless.wordpress.com. I have a lot of articles on there talking about a lot of deeper elements of this. But this video is just to be the bare minimum gospel, as you call it, the good news, which is pretty much this. So, all human beings have sinned. That just means that we have all done something displeasing to God. And from the moment that Adam and Eve sinned in the garden by eating the fruit and everything, then that sin has kind of like been a hereditary disease that has been passed on to every human. And back then, humans had to, sacrifice sheep and everything to kind of like atone for their sin until they sinned again. And we needed a permanent sheep to kind of like atone for that sin. So again, in essence, that is Jesus, who came, lived 33 years without sinning at all, and he died on the cross for our sins, and he resurrected 3 days later. And now, as we all know in John 3:16, it says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. So we have God the Father, who sent his Son, who's also God. Again, explaining the misconceptions on Christianity video, if y'all want to know how that works. Jesus, who whoever believes in what Jesus has done for them will not perish, so they will not go to hell or anything, which, by the way, fun fact, hell was actually made for the demons originally. So there's that. But those people will have everlasting life, which will be in heaven. How do I know that I'm going to heaven? The way that I often tell people is that a struggling Christian is not a hypocristian. So it's usually when you stop struggling, that's where it becomes the problem. So for me, the reason why I believe that I will be going to heaven is not because I'm living this perfect, sinless life where I do nothing wrong and I'm such a goody sweet angel. No. And it's also not that I'm out here just like, doing anything very detrimental and everything either, but just for the simple fact that I'm still human, and I still do things that are like just seen as like sinful and everything here and there. So I'm not perfect. So that's not why I'm going to heaven. It's not my behavior. The reason why I believe I'm going to heaven is for the simple fact that my blemished, sinful record has now been replaced with Jesus's perfect record. And so because I believed that Jesus Christ came from heaven, he died for my sins, and he resurrected on the 3rd day, because I believe that, and I've accepted that I'm a sinner that's in need of getting my blemished record switched over with Jesus's, so I can be covered by his, that's how I know that now I'm going to heaven. Now, of course, you could always be like, oh, well, Denzel, that just means that anybody who says, all right, well, then I believe this too, I'm going to heaven. That's not really how it works. The evidence that you actually are is that you now grow this relationship, this bond with Jesus. So now you don't want to do wrong because your relationship, your desire to continue to live right is greater than your desire, your natural human desire to do wrong. So if, for example, I meet somebody randomly on the street and they're like, just for random purposes, they're like, oh, I don't really like when you say the F word, then I'll be like, okay, not that I actually use that word or whatever. Just for an example, like if I just like, okay, who cares? You know what I mean? But if I have a relationship, like if that person telling me that they don't like when I do that because I don't value my relationship with that person, then it doesn't faze me. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to continue to do whatever I do. But since I value my relationship with Jesus, then if I run into Jesus and I'm reading my Bible or whatever, and then I see that Jesus doesn't like when I use the F word, or Jesus doesn't like when I do this, or Jesus doesn't like when I do that, then even if I may have a natural inclination to do these things that displease him, because I value my relationship that more with him, then I will work toward not doing those things. So somebody who doesn't value their relationship with Jesus, someone who doesn't value what he did and takes it for granted, would technically not be saved. That person would technically not be going to heaven. The way that you know that you're going to heaven is that, think about it. Ask yourself, if I died right now and I got to heaven's gates and I saw Jesus, how would that interaction go? For me, my presumption would be that I'd see Jesus and I'd be like, yo, and he would not be like, hey, long time, I have not heard from you. You know what I mean? Instead, he'd be like, whoa, there goes Denzel, gives me a hug, all of that, and then he turns toward God the Father. He's like, all right, so I'm gonna be real. He's not the perfect child. He's not, like, he has done wrong, both before and after he got saved, and all of that. But one thing that I can vouch for Denzel on is that he had a heart where he was constantly coming to me with the things that he struggled with. He was constantly trying to do better. He was constantly trying to, to behave as how I expected him to, and all of that. And for his efforts, I believe that he did have a sincere heart that wanted to live the way that we would have expected for a Christian to live out. And so therefore, I think that I would consider him a friend of mine, and I would like for him to spend eternity with us. Boom. That's all it takes. However, if I pulled up there and, I'm like, oh, well, but God, like I sat in front of church all the time, and I donated money all the time, and I never killed anybody, and I did this, and I just start listing off like all of these like good deeds that I've done. It still wouldn't count for anything, because just like it says in Matthew 7:21 through 23, Jesus could still potentially look at me and be like, yeah, you did all of those things, but honestly, I don't know you. And so how do you expect me to spend eternity with someone that I don't know? Sure, technically, he does know, like you because he's God or whatever. But does he know you intimately? How often do you guys hang out? How often do you guys speak? How often do you spend time with God? Is your relationship with him, is your relationship with Jesus strong enough to the point where he can vouch for you at heaven's gates? Like a teacher who's not trying to fail a student. A teacher who knows that, hey, I'm gonna pass you in this class because I worked with you after class all the time and I saw your efforts and everything. And so I saw how much you tried and I believe that you deserve this passing grade. While with that person, I'm gonna have to give them a fail because I don't even know that person. I haven't been able to necessarily to see if they really deserve a passing grade. For all I know, they probably just been slacking off, you know? So that's essentially how you know that you are going to heaven. How is your relationship with Jesus like? Not how good you are, not how bad you are, not how much theology that you know. None of that. It's literally how good is your relationship with Jesus? How often do you guys speak? How tight are you? What would he say about you if you were to die right now, if you were to die today and you were there and the person who's at heaven's gates is like name, you know? And so the last thing that actually I want to recommend is to check out this video. It's only about 3 to 4 minutes. It's called the Goodometer. It's going to be premiering or like a little like thumbnail thing at the end of this video. I would like for you guys to check that out. And I think that in that 3 minutes or so, it explains like everything that you need to know. So yeah, that is my quick response on how you can know if you're going to heaven from a Christian perspective. That's all. Done.